Let's do some superlatives as Davey Emola joins us now. We'll start with bigger upset. Was it the Brown over Virginia upset or Cornell over Penn State? I know rankings have a little thing in mind here, but upset-wise, I mean, there's a little bit of a different, which one?
Yeah, I think when you're going with the term upset, it's one that you least expect to happen. And for me, that's the Brown over Virginia game. I think, Cornell obviously was not ranked above Penn State, and that's a huge, significant win for them. But those are two really good teams who, we could see in Final Four we couldn't, quite honestly. So I think, Brown to beat UVA is a little bit bigger of an upset. It shows some problems that UVA has, and they need to adjust, going through a little bit of a slip right now. So I'll go with that game.
If Cornell dominated Penn State the entire game, do you think that would change things a little bit? Because I would have been a lot more surprised if that happened, if it had been like 15-5,
If it had continued to play out that way and that streak had continued. Again, I'm not sure, just because we know what Penn State brings to the table. We could have sort of chalked it up to, all right, listen, they were just really off today. Cornell's a really good team. I don't think we really saw the Brown victory coming at all over UVA. And something about that game, too. That was a fast-paced game. Those two styles, those teams like getting up and down. Obviously, Lars Tiffin coming from Brown. So a little bit of his style still left over there, and Brown just did it better than UVA did.
But Cornell sort of making a statement that they belong, it felt like, at the same time. They had been top 5 in the rankings, but beating a team like Penn State, to me, says, hey, this is the year that everyone thought that we should have had maybe last year, the year before.
And that's why I don't think it's fully an upset, right? Because we were sort of waiting to see what kind of Cornell team we had and said, okay, wow, this is a very capable team that could go all the way.
All right, let's get to our next one, the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic going on over Friday and Sunday. Who had the best weekend in Philly? Everyone went 1-1.
I was going to say,
so it's a trick question.
They didn't make it easy on us. It's not an easy question. And, I'll have to defend my answer, certainly. But I am going to go with Villanova.
Okay.
I think for a couple reasons. Villanova, we just talk about teams that we're sort of waiting to see what they fully had. And Villanova was one of those groups that had some, early showings good in the year. But we needed to see what they are about. And I think that win over Penn that they had was big time for them. And I'm going to continue to say that they had the best weekend, because then obviously they followed that up by losing to Drexel. I think that teaches you a lot as a group and learn as a lesson for a group. You can't take anyone lightly. You have to come prepared to play, which they did against Penn, and then drop the ball a little against Drexel. Obviously throwing off your schedule a little bit, having those two games so close back to back. So I think overall best win, and most you can take from it, is Villanova.
I like the NCAA tournament ramifications for Villanova's win over Penn. Could have such a big win for them in terms of getting a top 10 win, depending on where Penn finishes. If they can actually get some wins here down.
I was going to say, we keep talking about that.
Once Penn gets into the Ivy League, things are going to get really tough. So they got to start getting some of these wins. I also did, I know that St. Joe's didn't have the greatest weekend. I mean, they lost to Penn on Sunday. They did beat Drexel by 1 on Friday. I feel like for a program that's trying to, after they were so young last year and have had a really good start to this year, I feel like for St. Joe's, it was a decent weekend for them. They beat a good Drexel team, a decent Drexel team this year, and then you take Penn down to the wire. They were in that game the whole day. So I kind of liked what St. Joe's did this weekend and sort of saying, hey, we are one of the better teams in college right now. Not one of the best per se, but maybe they've taken that next step. I think that's an important thing to take away from that too, right?
I think you're right. It's tough to disparage between St. Joe and Drexel. Those are sort of two tight programs. We were talking about a little off camera, and could have gone either way. So yeah, we'll see.
Under the radar performer. This is a tough one.
It is. There's a lot of great performances that you sort of jump off the page to. Jeff Teat, someone that we talk about a ton, and this is for all games too, right? I'm staying in that game though, however, on Cornell, and going with Michael Long, freshman attackman for Cornell, had 4 assists and a goal, 5 points, and I just think that what he's done there for that offense is really open things up. He's a really quick, guy that can play the quarterback position at X, lefty, righty, and allows Jeff Teat to sit on that lefty wing and operate where he likes to the best, and we're seeing the results from that. It's really tough to stop that offense as a whole.
Yeah, and I know that offense sort of needed some new blood after Clark Peterson left last, was graduated, of course, and Piatelli obviously is great. Donville's really good, but like you said, that sort of gives them a different dynamic in addition to Teat now, right?
It really does. And Michael, again, he's a freshman. He was a New Jersey State Player of the Year coming from Del Barton last year, and Coach Millman already talked about how it's taken him sort of game by game to get more and more comfortable. So that's only going to, I think, improve for that overall offense. The more he settles in and takes sort of initiative on that offense, then people have to start worrying about him along with Teat. That's a dangerous combination.
Petrakis winning all those face-offs, so important for Cornell, and giving them the ball on offense. I can't say enough about that. All right, have a little fun for the last one. Trending on Twitter today was your cartoon that you would bring back, like from the old days, I guess. Now, so we were thinking, what cartoon character would be a really good lacrosse player? Davey?
It is a good question. A lot of ways you can go for this one. For some reason, the cartoon show Recess continued to pop into my head, and the leader of the group there, TJ, I believe you got that name for me.
Yes, TJ Detweiler.
TJ Detweiler,
yeah,
I think.
I think that's his name. Yeah.
I think he'd be a solid player. You know, he demonstrates his not only athletic but leadership ability. He's already sort of getting that group out of the situations they find themselves in. So I'd have to go with TJ Detweiler.
So I gravitated a little more towards Rocket Power.
Yeah.
Like all those kids, you know, were all sort of, you know, the different, you know, they did some unique sports that not necessarily mainstream, little crossover there. Reggie was really good. She'd probably be a good attacker in the women's game. Otto and Twister, I mean, they'd be a good duo. Maybe Ment and O'Keefe pair even.
The Twister shot, right? So bring a little bit of that into the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Squid could be a good goalie. He played goalie in street hockey. So they've got a whole roster. And then you look at Doug, a classic. I mean, Doug, I don't think would be that good.
Maybe not.
But Skeeter Valentine, you know, that's a good name. Chalky Studebaker was the jock on the show. So I feel like those guys, they'd really excel in lacrosse.
Yeah, I think you're right. The Doug show popped up to me as well. I think Skeeter would be a little bit better than Doug. And the also question though is are cartoons that are older or like currently going Family Guy? So that's something, you know, got to answer that as well and seeing from that show. So great question to be posed and answered for sure.
Absolutely. And we're going to keep on asking those questions, just not today.